everybody. Welcome to the Dental Handoff. I'm Dr. Kelly Tanner. Today I have with me, she's kind of a legend, Ann Duffy. Hey, Ann. Welcome.
Hey, Kelly. It's so nice to see you and to be on your podcast. I'm honored to be here with your audience. So thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, you are doing so many wonderful things, and my heart is so full to have you here and also for people to hear all about you and all the great things you're doing in the world. Ah. So
Oh,
we always start with the question, Ann, why dentistry? Did it
oh,
choose you? Did you choose it? What happened?
yeah, that's a good one. I think, did I choose it? Yes, I did. I chose dentistry, but my reasons were a little selfish, I guess. I wanted to go to Ohio State, and I was one of 5 kids, and when I was lucky when I grew up, I did go to the dentist every 6 months, and I had a great dentist and a great hygienist, and back in the day, they said, "Oh, you should be a dental hygienist," and they saw something in me that would lend itself to that career, and, so I got to be able to talk my mom and I had to have a reason to go to Ohio State versus maybe at school closer to home. And I got in the dental hygiene program, after the first year, and funny, Kelly, I went home that summer before I got the letter that I had been enrolled in the dental hygiene program. We had 80 in our class, by the way.
What?
And I just remember saying, "I think I need to do something else. I wanna do something with social work," and honestly, when I went to college, it was nursing, teaching, dental hygiene, occupational therapy, something like that. So, I didn't know one woman that was in business or any kind of a, engineering program. But I got in, like, I think the next day after I was lamenting, my goals of being in dental hygiene, and then come to find out we are in social work a little bit, and we do care for people, and it is really important, and,
Yes.
um, it's been an absolutely fabulous career. I have loved being in dentistry, and I've loved being a dental hygienist.
Yeah. So did you go straight out and practice or what'd you do after graduation?
Yeah, well, I went to Europe for about 9 weeks with a couple of good friends of mine, and we backpacked, and that was so fun. And then I settled in and, started working, and I think my first job was, as a dental hygienist in a perio practice,
Mm.
and that was instrumental for my fundamentals. You get out of school, and like everybody getting out of school now, you learn on the job, honestly. And so then, yeah, my husband, I met Tom when I was, let's see, I was going to be a junior at Ohio State, and he was gonna be a senior, and I graduated after my junior year. And, yeah, followed him. We moved 10 times before we got to Charlotte. I had the pleasure of taking 6 state boards, clinical and written. Yeah, there was no reciprocity. Well, even when I got to Charlotte, North Carolina, yeah, 30 years ago, there was no reciprocity. I had to get a patient, go to Chapel Hill, all the whole thing,
Now
one day.
that's love. That is love.
It never occurred to me not to continue to do that. It never occurred to me, and so, yeah, I guess I loved working, and it was my career, and I just kept going. So, I just finished my clinical career in 2020, came back after the pandemic, and I didn't wanna finish my career, during the pandemic or whatever, and so came back and then, wrapped that up. So it was a good 46 years of clinical dentistry all over the United States. Yeah.
Yeah. How many licenses, like how many states did you hold licenses on?
I took 6 state boards, yeah. I was lucky, I was so happy one time when we moved back to Ohio, which is where my initial thing was like, "Oh, good, I don't have to take a
Oh,
state."
this is easy. All I gotta do is apply for a job.
Exactly. I mean, now, they're practically with all the, buzz now about dental hygienists, are practically giving you a diploma, just, "Please practice dental hygiene," right?
Yeah.
So crazy.
That's cool. So then you realize that it was the profession was sort of it wasn't what you thought it was going to be because it was a little bit of kind of social work and the psychology and the connection. And then
Oh.
you have transitioned into business and to what you're doing now. So go back to that day when you said, I want to do something in addition to hygiene. Like, what was your thought?
Oh, well, that I did not choose. Let me say that. It's so funny. we get to Charlotte, North Carolina, 3 kids in tow, and, Tom came home from work one day, and I mean, he'd been thinking about it. He said, "I'm gonna quit my corporate job." He's in the chemical industry and always worked for big chemical companies. They were always moving us and getting promoted. It was a lot of I loved it. It was a lot of fun. Um, and he goes, "I'm gonna quit my job and start my own company." And I'm like, "That is phenomenal, honey. We're gonna be millionaires right away. You are so smart and cute and everything, and it's gonna be amazing. So absolutely." And so he did, and then about a year and a half in, actually, I don't even know if I was working then because I took the board. I probably was working when he said that, and I was working 2 days a week, which was my normal with the kids. And then about a year and a half in, sucking wind, not having I mean, I was like the richest to rags. I mean, it is champagne problems, but richest to rags was like, "Oh my gosh, we've got the kids in private schools, we got this, we got that. What are we gonna do? I need to make more money." And somebody had to drive the 3 kids around. You can relate to that, for basketball, dance, soccer, all of that. And so my first side gig was with a company, OxyFresh, you may have heard of it, that
Yeah.
was toothpaste and mouth rinse, and they had tried to get me involved in it earlier, like 6 months or an year earlier. When I started using the product, I was like, "Oh my god, the whole world needs to know about this alcohol-free mouth rinse. It eliminates halitosis," all that. And so I just said to myself, "Oh, well, I'll just build a team in OxyFresh." Um, and I did, and I built the largest team of female dental professionals in the company, and since then, the company's kind of imploded, and they don't it's not a viable option for earning anymore, but that's how I got my start in my first side gig, and then every side gig after that lapped on. So I didn't choose that, I will say, because I loved being a corporate wife, and I was extremely good at it. And so, you know, it was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna be starting business." So I did that, and then I started my own fresh breast center. And then I met a guy on a trade show floor that was schlepping dental entrepreneur, Business Beyond the Classroom. It was a magazine, and he called me after his professional salesperson couldn't make any sales for advertising, and so he brought me on board. I did that, and I was successful at getting him off the ground, getting us off the ground. We were a team, and then he had no dental passion. He was a journalist and an editor for one of the big newspapers in North Carolina, and so I bought it from him. Hence, I owned Dental Entrepreneur, and then I started to meet and know a lot of women in all different roles of dentistry, like marketing, business, authors writing about, you name it. Beyond the Classroom was the business side of dentistry for the dental schools. And that led me to where I am today. So, um, and that's a whole nother story too, which I can talk about.
Yeah, well, I remember OxyFresh. I'm gonna go back for a minute.
Yeah,
I love that product so much because there was nothing like it, and it really worked. It really worked, and you could see okay, so enough about that, but I loved
I
OxyFresh.
know. Well, the company's dead to me right now. I mean, if they're listening, wow, that company's dead to me. But you're right. It was and still is a great product. But isn't that funny? I know I love mentioning that because there are a lot of dental professionals now that I met through OxyFresh over the years, but they're doing something big in dentistry because I guess, we wanted more. And Kelly, you would have loved it getting involved because it was all personal development and leadership.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's really where I had they called themselves a leadership company, and they really were. So we learned so much about that and had wonderful speakers, and, that's where I got my chops and, in personal development and professional
And
development.
that's what I was gonna ask you because you went from being your life, like you said, from let's say you would say from riches to rags, and
Yeah.
then what in you said, "I can do this?" Like, so what happened in your head to say, "I'm gonna do that?"
I think I'm first of all, when I strengths is such a big part of dental entrepreneur woman. So we do a lot with dental entrepreneur women in the Strengths Finder 2.0. I'm an activator, so it's not unusual for me to say yes. Or hang up the phone and say, "Yes, I can do that." That's sure. And actually, what made me wanna go to work with Dental Entrepreneur was he was going to fly me to San Francisco for the ADA meeting. And, I've got 3 kids at home and a husband. I'm like, "Oh, that sounds great. Yeah, I'd love to do that. Love to do that." And so, I think that's just part of my personality that I don't think things through. Like, I don't really think about how hard it's gonna be if I wanna do something, and everything's been a passion. Like you were just saying about OxyFresh, you loved it. Well, I started Fresh Breast Center. And so I did it out of the office I was in. The boss that I was working for was great, and I had used the back of the office. I got on every cover of every newspaper in the Carolinas. It's not that hard. You just call them up and you say, "I'm
Right.
doing this," and you can, get your story out there. So it's kind of funny when I look back. It's funny you asked that because, yeah, I don't give it a lot of thought. And then I don't stop. So everything that I've ever done has just been go, do it, and I just start and don't stop. And here we are. Here we
So,
are.
I know that in your path right now, you are meeting people who are in the phase of change.
Mhm.
And do you ever think back on that time where you're just like, "Okay, what what made me think I could do it? What can I tell this person about absolutely, if I can do it, you can do it." So what kind of advice would you give to a person who's on that edge to say, "I wanna go from this to that." What would you tell them?
I would say, well, first of all, start and don't stop. I mean, so many people, I think, start something, they've got an idea, and you've gotta do a little research. I think OxyFresh, because it was a network marketing company, well, first of all, I was people always want to get me in network marketing because of my personality and like Mary Kay and all that. I don't care about makeup. I care about dental products,
Mm,
right? So that's one. You have to be passionate about what you're getting into, what you're selling, what you're producing, what you're inventing, right? So passion, and then I had a network there. So I had a sponsor. She's still my dearest friend and coach, one of my dearest friends, and so that was cool. I would say make sure you find your community, Kelly. You have to have a community, and that's what Do is. I will talk about why I started Do, but that's really important. Be passionate. Um, don't stop. The money will come,
mhm.
and just work hard. Like we know so often, through coaching, um, what you need to do, but you many times don't do it. You're fearful of it. And I mean, if you're gonna build something, you've gotta pick the phone up, and you gotta pick it up, and you gotta call 3 new people a day, and you gotta do all that. And, I think also fear. I was scared. I had a patient that, because, we would just tell our patients everything, right? So me, I would tell my patient, I'm like, "Oh my god, my husband quit his job," and we're just like, and I the one patient, and I've kept it in my heart all these years, Anne took my arm and she goes, "You're never gonna be poor. You might be broke, but you're not gonna be poor." And I held on to that. That gave me confidence to just keep going because I believed in what I was doing. I really truly did. And I still do. And now we say start and don't stop, do's don't retire. That is actually principle number 9. So, you know, it's one of those things that, has stuck with me all those years. I it's not necessarily hard, um, it's simple. It's simple, but it isn't easy. So I would say, what does Mark LeBlanc say? It's, consistency over competence. So
Mhm.
consistency of one foot in front of the other, keep on going, pray. Oh, I have a very I'm a spiritual person. So yeah, I mean, I prayed a lot, and I still do. I still pray, quite often to let go of the fear and to
Mhm.
just know that, I know what I'm doing means something, and that means everything to me. And I know it's also using the strengths that I've been given, to do what I'm meant to do. So it's very purposeful.
Yeah. So tell us about now Do. How was Dew born, and where is it today? And tell us all about it.
Oh my gosh, such a wonderful journey. Well, because I had known so many women in dentistry and in different career paths, and it was one of those days, a Thursday afternoon, and you may have heard this story, but it's a Thursday afternoon. It was right around this time, about quarter to four. I just called my friend up that was with one of the marketing companies. She was marketing for one of the big three of distribution and dentistry, and she was a good friend, and I had a thing, I just thought I need to call her and see how she's doing, and she answered the phone crying hysterically because her boss had, written in her 360 review that her smile was insincere and it looked like she was plotting something, and literally she had just come out of the office when I called her. And I'm like, "Well, that's insane, Sue, because you are the most sincere person I know." And I was just livid. I'm like, "Who does that? That's awful." And I said, "Sue, we're just start another magazine to highlight the amazing women in dentistry. I've already got Dental Entrepreneur. We can do this. We'll start one. We'll just highlight because the women that I knew in dentistry, and we both know in dentistry, are smart, they're caring, they love beauty, they love community, they are amazing. And we just weren't getting our due. And it just seemed like something that, again, activator. I hung the phone up. I was on the back porch with my hubby and I said, "Oh, you know what? I'll just call it Dental Entrepreneur Woman. I've already got Dental Entrepreneur." And I mean, that was within about an hour
Of
of
course.
my time that Dental Entrepreneur Woman was conceived. And so funny because the next morning I called Sue and she's like, I can't quit." I thought she was going to quit and we were going to do it together. Right. So she's like, "I can't quit my day job. I'm the breadwinner in my family." And I'm like, "Oh, well, okay." But I had an appointment with the attorney. I had it all going. And that's how Do started. And really just to highlight women in dentistry, which has turned into a movement and a podcast and a retreat and a community and a mastermind and all of these things because the women in dentistry are amazing. And principle number three, good do's find good do's. So all I do or all I did was open the door and
Mhm.
say, "Come in, sit at our table. I don't care what you do. If you're a woman, you are welcome to sit at our table and we'll help you." And that's how it's happened. And it's actually it's just beautiful. It's taken maybe 8 years for me to appreciate how amazing it is because you know how we're all in our circles, Kelly? We've got, like, I'll see you at under one roof, but I'll see somebody Chicago Midwinter or you know, uh, Spear or Den Spicer Run World or whatever. I'm meeting so many women in different spheres, in different circles, and bringing them together, and it's just so cool because as women in dentistry, if you own your practice or you're working for a company, your head's down. You're
Mhm.
working hard.
Yeah.
You and I had the luxury of being part-time. It's really hard to have a full-time job and get the side gig going.
Mhm.
Those women and the men that I really admire, because I had the luxury of, for a certain amount of time there that I could do 2 days a week and put the money and the time into, my side gig. But just bringing every day, I'm meeting new amazing women that are like, "Oh my god, where have you been?" And they're saying the same thing to me. "Where have you been all my life?" And, so it's just beautiful to bring, women together in an atmosphere.
I'm just sitting here, imagining before the conference, before the do get together every year, are you looking at the guest list going, "Magic's gonna happen"? Are you just looking at what are you
Oh,
just I mean,
oh,
how are you feeling at that point?
I'm a little stressed because I've been pretty much doing it on my own all these years. Now this year I have a retreat committee, I've got people helping me, so I don't have to just show up because that's really my nature is just to show up. So I, like, open the door, but maybe I could have thought this through. But the first retreat we did, and shout out to Jasmine Haley, uh, they had called me, they were at Bogey and Jasmine, Amber Auger, and, Kristen Berry, we're all at Dennis Place Serrano doing something. They called me, said, "Come over and have a cocktail." I'm like, "I did." So we're driving around in Jasmine's van, and she goes, "When's your retreat gonna be?" Because she knew that I wanted to do something like that. And I'm like, "I don't know." She says, "Get your calendar out. We're gonna get that on the schedule right now." So in the van with those gals, we're like, "Okay, nope," whatever it was. I can't remember the date of the first one. It was probably November. And I thought maybe we'd get 12 women. And so the first one, we had 100. And then we've sold out every year. And we'll have 250 amazing women that you won't know until you get into the room. And so I can't wait. The magic, there's nothing like women in a room with a common thread of either being in dentistry or have been in dentistry or have that common thread because we understand each other.
Mhm.
And then just being in there and, my new principle now is the answers in the ladies' room. And it truly, truly is. We love our men, and everybody knows how much I adore my husband. We'll be married 50 years in August, and
Wow.
he's still the love of my life, and we're still so lucky. And I love men. I got 2 amazing sons and daughter, but this just happened to be because I was really ticked, and my friend was bullied, and I felt like it just made sense at the time, and it continues to make sense. So I look at Do as the umbrella. I really am try to position us as the media company should support every woman doing whatever they're doing in dentistry. So, Grace Yum is on my cover this summer, and she started Mommy Dentist. Effie Hapshaw's been on my cover from Toronto and Amon Carr. Anybody. I mean, there's no scarce mentality in our organization, and that I think is important. Is important because everybody has a great story and everybody is trying to do their best, and sometimes we need help, and,
Yeah,
we certainly
community. Like you
like
said,
that.
it's community and having that, and then there's weekly meetups too, right?
Well, we Do Connect, we call that. That's a weekly coffee,
Coffee, there it is.
like 9:30 to 10:30 on Wednesdays, and I jumped on today because Brandy Hooker Evans, you probably know, she's taken over the Do Connect. She's director of our Do Connect, so she's taken over that Wednesday morning. Popped in there today, and, there's 24 women in there, and it's just, oh my gosh, it's always so powerful. You should definitely pop into that because it's not organized. It's basically what's top of mind, who's new, who just joined, who wants to, what are you doing? How can we help you? Who can we connect you with? That kind of a thing. And it's always just so rich, so rich. And that's I think one of the reasons we put the mastermind program together this year with we made tiers and I had some help with a couple of the dues came to me and said, "Ann, we gotta help you." Because you probably feel the same way. I want to do this whether it's I don't like charging anybody for anything, but at the same time, you have to set the example of running a business, and
Mhm.
people I have to pay, and you know how that goes. There's just like,
Yeah,
okay,
you
we're
have
gonna
overhead too to
a whole lot of overhead, yeah. But,
mhm.
so we started the masterminds, which is more, purposeful and guided, and, again, you have, 6 women on a Zoom, you're gonna get the answer. You're gonna get the answer that you've been looking
Yeah,
for. It's there. It's there. And you experienced that, I'm sure,
yes.
with your recent retreat you just had. I'm sure it was just magic.
Yeah, and people love the community. They love to, the validation that goes on of, "Oh my gosh, that's exactly what I was thinking about this," or "That's amazing idea. You should connect with fill in the blank. Let me connect," just the connections and the webs that are there, even among 3 people, 2 people, just boop, boop,
Yeah.
boop. It's amazing.
It is amazing, and you're not alone because being certainly we've acquired a lot of entrepreneurial women, but I my statement is that all women are entrepreneurial. Even before I was doing the side gigs and maybe on my entrepreneurial journey, I was still spinning 10 plates. I was still the conductor of everything in this household as I still am. I mean, it's just I think it's in my nature and it's in women's nature to be agile and flexible and be able to spin.
Totally.
Men are more laser focused, but I love when men come to a conference, they say bye. And when women come to a conference, we have the freezer loaded. We've got the instructions on the fridge. We've got the neighbors picking the kids up.
They hunt, we gather.
Oh, yes, they hunt and we gather. I love it. Yeah, that's so perfect.
There's a lot of truth to that.
There is.
So, are there themes or like your top 3 things that maybe do you would say that do's and or maybe you have learned throughout your journey, words of advice that you would give the audience right now about what they want to pursue or their ideas or their heart or starting a business?
Well, I would say don't give up on your dreams. I mean, think about it. I am let's see. I'm just a normal person, and a lot of people give me, like, more credit than I deserve, but I am using my strengths, and I feel like the best thing that I ever did, and this was 17 years ago, and it's one of the reasons I started Do. At the core of Do is Strength Finders. So everyone's got their assessment. I know I've got Enneagram, and that keeps coming up to me, like, now I know I'm an 8. I tried not to be an 8, but apparently I am an 8. I've taken twice, I come out the same every
I
time.
need to do mine. I haven't done mine.
Well, a lot of women love that as well, but I love Strength Finders, and it changed my life and our family's life 17 years ago. So we took it all together as a family, and honestly, Kelly, that's when I stopped m having my meltdown with my husband and saying, "Please go back to corporate," because he is just a perfect he's all lined up to be an entrepreneur. And so when I found out what my strengths were and I started to really learn about that and not just put them in a drawer, but to lean into them. So know what you're good at. We all know, but like you just said, it validates.
Mhm.
The strength finders, science behind it validates that yes, I am an activator, I am a woo, I'm an achiever, I'm communications, all of those things. And everybody's strengths are wonderful, but your strengths are different than mine. So know
Mhm.
what your strengths are. If you've got a dream, don't give up on it. Um, and then really lock arms with people that can help you. It's really it's very simple in how to I think in how to be successful in any endeavor
Mhm.
is to do what you're good at and what brings you joy.
Yes.
What is easy for you, and then build upon that, and it'll help you be on rocket fuel, and it'll help you achieve your dreams, and, um sometimes we have to pivot, and there's nothing wrong with pivoting. You might just find something you like even better or partnering with somebody, I think that's the other thing, partnership, but yeah, it all comes together,
Yeah.
uh, for you if you just keep working hard. It's it takes a lot of hard work, but yeah, just do it. That's another principle. That's number 2.
Yep.
Just just do it because we all how many times that you'll see women that well, it's similar in like a divorce that they wish they could have left their husband.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, guys, I don't mean to uh, negate that. It can go either way, but they stay in a situation that they're not happy, they're not good at, it's miserable, and they never have the courage to pivot,
Yeah.
and if not now, when?
Mhm.
Not you, who? So, again, there's so much to that, and then again, don't quit your day job too soon because I think a lot of women go to the burnout, and you've seen it. I wanna quit dental hygiene, well, or dentistry. There all that education, all that experience you're just gonna toss out
Yep.
and start all over. That's starting a business from scratch, and that is also starting a life from scratch. So, I do think that there's so many opportunities in dentistry that you may not be aware of, but if you start networking and putting your toe in the water, you will find something that fits you well,
And it
and
may not exist right now. It may be you doing something completely new, or it may be similar to what someone's doing, and that's okay.
that is okay.
Yeah,
Is okay. That's how the world works. There's
that's
so
right.
many opportunities. So,
Exactly right.
yeah.
And thank you so much for sharing your story. That's amazing. You have brought so many great people together, and it takes the person, the visionary, the person who doesn't give up to bring all those that common thread together, and that's what you've done through Do. And at every event that, well, a lot of events, there's a Do meetup over here, there's a Do meetup over there. So um, you know, they they do the dues together outside of the annual event and beyond the mastermind and beyond the connect weekly. They get together in person. They have a great time. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I know that our profession is so honored to have you doing what you're doing.
Well, again, thank you very much, but all I did was open the door,
Mhm.
and there are so many amazing women and men in dentistry that we are just so blessed to be in this profession.
Yeah,
So,
agreed. Yeah, agreed.
yeah,
Agreed.
yeah.
Well, thank you, Anne, for being on. If you guys want to reach out to Anne, go to the website, contact her, reach out. Her information is in the show notes below. So, Anne, thanks again for being on. And to all of my followers, you know, I always ask the favor of you to go on over to Apple Podcasts to give the Dental Handoff a 5-star rating, please. And then if you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and press the like button and subscribe so the algorithm recommends it to other people who you may love to see the show. Thank you for all that each of you do and touching lives that you do. We will see you again next week. Thank you, my friends. Be well.